Good afternoon, everyone. This is our first open forum in person in a year. Woo! We did it. Can you believe it? I've never been so excited for an open forum. I think I might be a little rusty too. I don't know how to work this thing. So as always, we have a full schedule, and we always invite a few guests from outside of this community to join us, and today is no exception. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm so glad that you're here, so glad that we can be here in person. For those of you wondering, this presentation is being recorded, and we will post it eventually on the neighborhood website. So I want to start with our agenda. We will begin with a Hotwire update, and we've invited our friends from Hotwire to speak a little bit. We'll give you a status update, and there's a lot of good information that Ronnie, you may have heard the name Ronnie a few times. Well, Ronnie is here. You'll actually get a face to the name, which will be quite nice. We also have an update from Ross. Everybody knows Mr. Ross Dickman. And then, of course, every one of the departments here will provide some sort of helpful information. I want to thank everybody for joining us and for wearing their masks. As you know, our protocol calls for a mask in groups of 26 or more, which is what we're in the midst of now. So thank you so much for doing that. Remember, we'll have each speaker up, and then at the end, we'll have an opportunity for questions and answers, of course. So without further ado, we will go ahead and invite Ronnie up. Ronnie, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Ronnie Friedel. I'm the account manager for Hotwire for your property. I just want to welcome everybody for being here. This is awesome. For the first slide here, everybody knows that we do have our customer service. It is locally here in the United States. Our main customer service office is on the East Coast in West Palm Beach, Lauderdale area, and we also have one in Georgia also. And recently, we've added additional headcount to 25. And now with season over, I know that it is a little bit difficult to get into customer service, but now we're expecting everything to start slowing down. My responsibility for Hotwire is if there's anything that's above and beyond what customer service cannot handle. So I'm not your first call, but I would be your last call. If there's anything that is, that's pending that you need more assistance than what customer service can handle, just ask them for a ticket number, let me know, and I can escalate it. Because if I was being the only call, I wouldn't be able to help anybody. So I'll work 99% of the time customer service, which we have fully staffed, and it's here in Florida and over in Georgia also. So that's something, for everybody to reach out. If you can take the next slide here. This is, some of the statuses of what's going on. Hotwire installations are complete on all campuses except for the Grand Lakes. We have 2 buildings that are opening up this next month with a handful of residents going to be moving in April and also in May. And then when the clubhouse opens, there's going to be additional 16 in there also. So by the end of the summer, everything that's been built and ready to go should have Hotwire in those units when they move in, as they move in. Our business phone, I know in this building here, we have some of the existing phone numbers that were with CenturyLink. They're still in that process of being ported over. It is a big project. I understand that there was, close to 1,000 numbers that were in that CenturyLink bucket that we transferred over. We only had a handful that were able to port over residentially wise. We were able to, get those guys hooked up with a brand new number, but the number was small. It was less than 10 out of 1,000. So we did really well taking care of those phone numbers. And that I just mentioned that with the outstanding residents issues, there's a small number that with CenturyLink. Those guys, every single one of them that I know of that were brought to my attention have been activated with at least a new number, or they decided to stay with their cell. What are the most favorable attributes of Hotwire? You know, what's nice about Hotwire is what I grew up with in the Time Warner age, Comcast. I was with Summit Broadband. Well, one of the things that's really nice is that replay television. So if you get home and you miss that that news and you didn't record it on your DVR, you're able to, you know, go back to the news if it's one of the channels that you can replay and move back 48 hours and catch the news if you missed that. So that's one of the things that's really nice about the programming and some of the technology that Hotwire is available. You know, the picture quality, you know, it's HD quality, 4K, as long as it's broadcast in 4K, you know, we're able to broadcast it if they have programming that's, you know, filmed in 4K. So we're ready for that when that starts being more, you know, more publicized. Like I believe the US Open was broadcast in 4K. As long as you have a 4K television, the boxes are 4K, you'll be able to watch it. But the regular programming like the news, there may not be filmed in 4K. And our internet speed here, you know, for being fiber, you're able to, you know, have that direct link directly with us. You're not sharing with anybody. And for 200 meg upload and 200 meg download, most businesses in America don't have that. So you guys have the ultimate speeds here. And some of our, you know, challenges here, you know, launching a new system was very limited, but we were able to, as I said, everything is completed on all the campuses. You know, for all the, you know, every single issue that has been brought to my attention, you know, I'm working with the upper staff here and my staff, and I'm not the, you know, I'm not just the person that's working for Hotwire, I'm working for you guys too. And I'm able to, you know, take care of some of those issues and stuff like that, and becoming knowledgeable and comfortable about seeking assistance through the helpline. You know, that's why I'm here. They hired me to be the face of Hotwire, and I take pride in that. If you can look at, you know, you can ask the upper management here, you know, every single time there is something that, you know, needs to be addressed, get Ronnie. You know, that's basically, that's why they said, put the name to the face. You know, like I mentioned in the beginning, the first, you know, line of defense is customer service. 95% of the time they can take care of it. And then after that, if you need more assistance, then you can reach out to me. If you can go to the next slide. And this is some of the, on top of what I do as a troubleshooter, a confidant, everything that I do for you guys, we do have, you know, monthly and quarterly performances checks. So I'll check the, you know, different scales of your trouble calls. If anybody has more than 3 trouble calls that were visited in a quarterly time, I get that report. I'll reach out to the resident, make sure that that issue has been addressed. So each quarter I pull a report, and if we've been out physically to your unit 3 times in that quarter, that's one of the responsibilities, and it's a big responsibility to make sure everybody's happy. And throughout the, you know, there's other things that, you know, offer a refreshing course for the on our community channel. And we do also have lunch and learns, which we've done a few here where we had the educator come in and talk about the products and services, go over the remote control, any, you know, question and answers as a group. We also do that as the individual one-on-one for an hour. So if anybody has questions about their services and haven't had a educator come out, you know, we can schedule an educator come out, and that's something that you can do through customer service and through me. And there's a few other things there, performance, you know, phone check-ins with the management. It's not just monthly, it's daily that I reach out, and I was just over at the original campus with Kim over there with the moving coordinator and Celeste earlier. Next slide. would pull up our website on your local Get Hotwired / Moorings Park OC or even GO, you'll be able to see my picture. You can contact me by hitting that button, and also on your on the box itself, if you go to the menu to the community, you'll be able to see my my picture, my contact information, along with customer service. So there's ways you can get in touch with me. And this sheet, this website here, there's different things. If you look at under my community, there's TV Anywhere. So if any of the folks that have our account, obviously you do, you set up. You can set up through the Get Hotwired with the username and password. If you are seasonal, you go back up north. You can log into this portal here, hit TV Anywhere, and watch programming that you would have in your house here. So if you want to watch ESPN, you're at you have an internet connection somewhere else, you can log into here and watch it through the website. Next slide. And I guess that is it for me. And one last thing I did want to bring up, we just mentioned about moving up north, going up north for the summer. We do have a seasonal plan, and a lot of the current residents here have what we call is just the bulk services that the association and the property provides. But if there's anything above and beyond, so if you have, a fourth or fifth box that you're paying $9.99 for, and you are going to leave for the summer, there is a seasonal plan. It's a minimum of 3 months, a maximum of 7 months, and you can be able to get 50% off that equipment. And if you do by chance order, say the Works, which gives you all the movie channels, everything, and that's above on what the Moorings Park provides. When you go on when you call and go on seasonal, we'll basically just take that completely off because it's a month-to-month service. So you're not paying that additional charges while you're gone for the season or the summer. And it's, like I mentioned, it's a minimum of 3 months, maximum of 7 months, and we'll be able to set that up at any time. So I think that is it for me. So here you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. What I want you to know about this is that Ronnie represents us here. And so if you have any issues with your service and you've called the helpline for Hotwire, something doesn't seem right. Maybe the messaging that you're receiving, or maybe even the day when they can come to help you with your service or visit your home to check things out, even if that seems a little bit long, I'd like you to reach out to my office, actually to Teresa. Teresa is responsible for all the Hotwire issues here in this community. And what Teresa will do is she will reach out to Ronnie, and then Ronnie will mobilize his team to help you out. Any service technician should only take about 3 days to come to your home. And I know that that's not been the case, and I know that that's not been the message that you've received, right? And so if you hear something contrary to that, I would like to know, because ultimately we want to make sure that you're satisfied with the service. This is how we do it. Okay? Thank you, Ronnie. Next up is Ross. And I'm going to hand over the remote.
It's been a long, long time. Hello. Last time I saw you, Richard was wearing bell-bottoms. Ishel and Boris were still in their senior year of high school. And I had coal black hair. First of all, it's good to be here with you today. This is a real milestone to come back and be in a common place. Obviously, we're not through this pandemic. As a matter of fact, there's even a couple of frightening things on TV showing some spikes. But I'm an optimist, and you're probably reading the same news I am, and things are getting better. You went through a very difficult period. We all did. But I am absolutely over the moon that we kept, and you kept yourself safe. These were difficult times. You couldn't see family. We had to lock down the communities for a period of time. March was very difficult. April, terrible. Then we started to see a little bit better improvement. And then all of a sudden we get into June, July, and it shot right up. It was a tough time. This is hopefully one for the history books. And if this only happens once a year, which is what it's tracking like right now, I won't be around to see the third one, but let's hope that this doesn't continue. So I came here to share a little bit of information with you in a couple of different areas. First of all, I wanted to tell you that probably about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, we said goodbye to our Vice President of Human Resources, critical position, particularly in the labor market today. It's very, very difficult to recruit and hire non-exempt particularly. There is such a demand now. There's a huge surge because the hotels are now getting back online. They're looking for dining room servers. They're looking for housekeeping staff. They're looking for maintenance staff. And then in addition to that, they never did halt construction down here. Construction continued at a steady pace, as evidenced by our own Grand Lake project. But over at Sienna Lakes, they're recruiting now for those same very people. That's why this position is so critical, so that we can utilize just about every tool available in the toolbox to go out and recruit and hire and ultimately retain the very best. We've got, we believe, the most current competitive wage analysis information. We also have a wonderful benefits plan. I have yet to see a employer in Southwest Florida to match it. And so we've got a good package, but we've got to connect with these young men and women who are seeking these positions. And the most important thing is for this new person that we're going to onboard, we don't know who it is yet, but speed to market. We cannot wait to make decisions. We're not in a position to procrastinate. When we know we have somebody good, we need to go ahead and strike while it's hot. But what we're going to do here is we've gotten a professional recruiter. The recruiter has found about 8 candidates. Those candidates will be interviewed by a panel. Jordan's actually going to be on that panel. And then the 2 finalists will be interviewed by myself and Mary Morton, and then we'll make that final recommendation to the board of directors and to the CEO. We also have some senior management positions to fill, not many, fortunately, but we do have some. This has been a tough period for women in particular because many of them had to relinquish their positions to take care of their kids at home, with school being essentially not available to their children. Annual resident engagement survey. The old term was satisfaction. The new term is engagement. It's more about the experience. We're going to do something different. In the past, we used a company called Holleran. Holleran's a well-respected name in the engagement or survey process. Holleran only works with 501c3 companies. In this particular case, though, we are also a member of a consortium of upscale CCRCs throughout the United States, 17 to be exact. And the name of that organization is called Navarre. Many of you might have heard that. So what we decided to do for 2021 moving forward is utilize a survey that is developed by Navarre, and it was developed by the CEOs of each of these organizations. And that survey will launch on April 5th. It will conclude on the 23rd. There's going to be details coming out to you in memo form through Jordan. It'll come out on Constant Contact. It's relatively straightforward. You'll be provided a URL link. You'll be able to go in there and you'll be able to complete the survey in approximately 15 minutes. Surveys are important to us. It is not just a report card. In a highly competitive world, it's our way to find out what we're doing right and what we're not doing right. And that then becomes actionable steps for us to take to essentially get ourselves back on track in the interest of the people we serve. The reason why Navarre, I think, is going to be a great resource for us is we'll now be able to benchmark ourselves moving forward against like communities. In the past, Yes, Holleran gave us 253 CCRCs in the United States and says, here's how you stand against them. Unfortunately, many of them were not, even remotely close to a Gray Oaks. There were some, but most of them, I would say, are not. And also geographic preferences all weigh into this. In this particular case, I think that we are going to have a better feel for how we stand against like communities. And again, I stress that they are all 501c3. They're all not-for-profits. So I encourage you, if you would please, to complete that survey. A lot of personal feelings have erupted over the course of the last year. We've seen a lot of issues come up and go down. I think overall, though, you need to look at, or I ask you to look at, the operation as you saw it over the course of the entire year. I do not believe that 2020 is a good year to really benchmark our successes or our shortfalls. And the reason is because priorities were shifted so quickly because of the pandemic. But nonetheless, as customers, you too can shift and say, okay, their priority became keeping us safe. How was that done? What did they execute well on, and what did they not? So your feedback, regardless of where it's at, is critically important to us. You'll have an opportunity to write some verbatim information in there. The verbatims are equally as important, and many would argue more important than a numerical score. So please take the time. We look forward to everybody completing it. Couples, this is not just for a couple, this is for each individual, husband and wife. So everybody gets a vote. All right, number 90. You probably got very tired of reading those COVID-19 COVID-19 update number, whatever. The last one that was put out was number 90. Number 90 talked about going to the final phase. That is phase 5. And to a certain extent, if we only had 10 or 12 people, 15 people, even up to 25 people in this room, you probably wouldn't be wearing masks right now. Some might, because it's your choice, but we certainly wouldn't require it of you. That's what Update 90 talked about, as well as many, many other issues. We're about to come out probably by Friday, update number 91. And if you remember, back in about number 88, I said that we are going to go to monthly updates. There just isn't enough substance to put out an email or a memo every week or so. In this particular case, so I just wanted to remind you a few things are going to change that were addressed in update number 90. One of those things is that you're going to be able to have guests come in and dine. Okay, we're going to go back to banquet event orders. So if you wanted to reserve your private dining room, those types of issues, and there's many, many others. Visitation for Orchid Terrace and Chateau, those are still determined by the state. In your case, it's not going to be Orchid Terrace and Chateau. It's going to be Mangrove. It's going to be Oakstone. But the only one that really is held under federal mandate for requirements is the Chateau, and that's because they take Medicare dollars. The assisted living, though, it's still a pretty strict scenario out there. There is rumor going around right now that Governor DeSantis is about to slacken those restrictions even further. But I personally don't want to speculate. We'll wait and see. As far as inoculations go, we ended, done, everyone at 89.5%, I'm sorry, 98.5% participation by all residents within the Institute, 98.5. That's amazing. We did not hit those same numbers for our partners. We're continuing to work on that. You're also going to get some correspondence here very soon, if you haven't already received it, that we just got a substantial number of Johnson & Johnson vaccines that came in. That's the one shot and you're done vaccine. For those who could not fit it into their personal life, whether they were traveling, whatever the circumstances are, maybe their doctor said that, maybe your doctor said you can't take this vaccine right now. We now have that, and we're going to offer that both to any of those remaining residents, which can't be many, if we're talking about 98.5% already completed it. And then the partners, that's where we would like to see some more momentum, is our partners. I wanted to just, this is not about Gray Oaks, but it's about our larger organization. We, for the longest time, we had budgeted for, planned on, and all of our schedules were written to a completion date of the Grand Lake Town Center. That's the big clubhouse there. In December of 2021. We're going to receive temporary certificate of occupancy on June 30th. So we're way ahead, which is quite remarkable because of the pandemic. They kept their foot on the gas pedal, and we're really pleased with that. It's 270,000 square foot of space. It provides 16 penthouses in the town center. This is the only part of the entire development where Moorings Park actually funded the project up front. The residential buildings, the seed capital or the funding came from London Bay Homes, and then after the building achieved occupancy, certificate of occupancy, then we bought that building, and each of those buildings were priced differently based on how many apartment homes were involved. The nice thing about that is that was London Bay's money that was put up front, which was almost without risk for us. And then when we purchased the building, they were at least 80% occupied. And now, as I stand here today, the phase one, which is buildings G, H, and I, they're up around 96% occupied. So that was a really good partnership. I don't know if the Wilson brothers feel the same way because they were the ones who ponied up the cash. But in this particular case, we bought this right from the very beginning. So we were the developer of the town center. This is a long property. From one end to the other is almost a full statute mile. So it's extremely narrow. So is Gray Oaks, but this is even more narrow. And then it's very, very long. A little bit, there's just a couple of photos of the independent living buildings. Obviously, there's a lot of work to be done there yet, but you can see that we've got a lot of people that are living in there already right now. I think right around 98 to 100 people are residing in phase one. I want to talk to you for a moment about a project that was addressed with us before the great pandemic. I'm not speaking of the 1918, I'm speaking of this great pandemic. And that was your rubberized walking trails were having some significant issues. Let me kind of summarize what those were, or what they are even here today. That is there was root damage, roots from the royal palm trees and other foliage, other greenery, was actually getting underneath the substrate. The substrate is the base layer under the rubber. That's not 4 inches of rubber. What that is asphalt with about 2 inches of rubber on top of it. So the roots from a royal palm tree, as large as they are out there, they have tremendous growth power. And they were actually pushing that asphalt slab underneath up. And that's where those mounds come from out there. Aesthetically, it doesn't look very good, but the real concern on our part was they're a trip hazard. You go out there in the evening, you don't have enough light, you take your next step forward and you think that it's going to be at the same height as the previous one. Before you know it, you've put your foot into a relatively elevated mound and you fall. We know that this can't stand. We know that this is a real problem. So when we got to around March of 2020, we started to look at what steps needed to be taken. First and foremost, is there anybody else liable for this? Because the building was, the community first opened in 2015. That wasn't that long ago. So is there any warranty associated with this? If there's no warranty, is there any builder type of responsibilities under Florida law? We explored all this with our attorney. We looked into all of it. And at the end of the day, we did not have anything substantive to sink our teeth into to try to litigate. And, in this particular case, we probably would have spent as much money on attorneys as just fixing it. Then we looked at, well, what does fixing it mean? Does it mean that we go where all these mounds are, cut those mounds out, and then go ahead and take the roots out, flatten it out, and then go ahead and put some more rubber back on top? We could do that, but it's just going to come back in relatively short order. So we went out and we contracted with a company here in Southwest Florida who specializes in landscape architecture, including hardscape. And they found a company in California that happens to have a satellite office in Miami called Rubberway. Now, Rubberway is a very fast-growing company. And what they do is they build these rubberized walking paths, but not just for walking paths. They also do it for children's playgrounds. They do it for just about everything. And for each of those types of settings, it's purposeful. It's built based and materials used for that environment. So the rubber that they use for kids is very different than what they would use out here for a walking path. So that became the material we would planned on using. The question is how do we stop this growth from happening again? The first thing that popped up is we got to remove every palm tree down the center of the entire community. And, you know, we told the landscape company that that's not in the realm of the possible. We don't want to do that. It's not an acceptable solution. So we conversed with this company, Rubberway, and they do have a solution, and it's essentially a concrete substrate. So what they'll do is they'll come out here, and we will move forward on this. They will come out here, and it's going to be a big project, probably over multiple months, and they'll take up all of that rubber out there, at least on what we call the main spine, the main straight stretch. It's not near as bad, and we can still get a few service years out of this. The reason why we don't want to take everything up is this project is probably well in excess of $800,000. So what they'll do is they'll take all that existing material up, they'll dispose of it. They'll have to relocate about 6 of the palm trees, that's all. That's a relatively small number compared to what's out there. And then what they'll do is they'll come in and they'll build forms, and they will pour a concrete base, not asphalt, but concrete, about 4 inches thick. And they'll have a ribbon going down each side so it can be nicely edged, look beautiful. And that concrete will have drainage, so when water goes into it, it goes right out through the bottom. And then most of all, most importantly, there'll be a lime rock sub base. So we'll bring in lime rock and put it down. Put concrete on top of that. And the concrete forming for the future walkway will look like a very shallow bathtub. When we're finished, we'll fill that bathtub with repurposed rubber, tires, if you will, except for the top 1 inch. The top 1 inch will be virgin rubber, so there's no carbon trail that comes off your feet that goes into your home and your carpet. That's been an advancement since this community was first built. And if you remember, for those who were here, that was a big disadvantage and something that bothered you quite a bit. As I just walked out on the walking trail, I come into my house, there's black marks on my carpet. Shouldn't have that problem again. It's out for bid right now. We had a big meeting today. It's out for bid. We'll have 3 general contractors bidding on it. There's a lot of interest in this. We'll have to work with Jordan to find out the opportune time to do it. There's no way to do a project of this size and say, we promise not to inconvenience you. The mere fact of bringing a bulldozer onto campus is an inconvenience. I don't expect big ones, except for those that are going to actually lift up those giant palm trees. But I will say that it's something that needs to be done. We will do this same thing on the original campus, only it's about 5 times the length because of the size of the original campus. We have the same problem there. Grand Lake does not have this problem because they used their head and they did not plant any large palm trees next to the walking path. In addition to that, the path and the material they're using is what the U.S. Park Service uses, which is much harder rubber with aggregate in it. So I went into a lot of detail that probably was not of great interest here, but I did want you to know this is now entered into a much more advanced phase. The board of directors funded it. That was a big deal because it was an unfunded project for 2021. They've since funded it. And what we're doing now is getting bids from 3 general contractors in Southwest Florida. We'll look at those bids on a competitive basis, quality materials and their reputation. We'll award that, and then we'll also have a second bid for a company who will oversee that to make sure it's done really well. In the final analysis, the community should look spectacular. Every bit as good as it does now, except no humps, no mounds, no unevenness. It will be nice. Should also last 25, 30, 35 years. Not the rubber. The rubber can be changed every 5, 6, 7 years. If you want purple, you can go purple next time. If you want green, you can pick a color. What will stay there for nearly ever will be the concrete, and then the roots won't start to push all this stuff up. We'll keep you posted, or Jordan will keep you posted on the timeline. And we'll get through it, and we'll try to do it as swiftly as possible. But you know, I would envision somewhere in the summer we'll start this and hopefully have it done before season starts toward the end of this calendar year. Thank you. It's good to see you all.
Good afternoon. I am so happy to see each and every one of you. Even though I can only see your eyes, you know, like Jordan said, it's been a long time. So I'm so happy to see you all. I did want to provide you some updates for Oakstone and Mangrove. Part of our 2021 capital projects is we were able to get a brand new piano for our Mangrove residents. So now we are the proud owner of a beautiful Yamaha NU1X piano, which we love. The best part about this piano is it is actually a player piano as well. So if we can't have entertainment come in for whatever reason, or we don't have somebody there that can actually read or play the piano, like I cannot, we can have it play itself, and the residents really enjoy that. We can take a couple, put them in the room, and they get to enjoy the benefits of it. We also have had some dining room enhancements. We just completed a painting project. So what we did is we took all of the original wallpaper in our Mangrove dining room off, and we painted it. Not only did we paint it, but we also enhanced it with some beautiful accent walls, and it looks like $1 million. Dining has also enhanced some of our dining equipment. So we have brand new chafing dishes, new utensils that have really elevated the service. And so our Mangrove residents are continuing to benefit from that. Ross did point out about the visitation. We are continuing to follow the AHCA, the Agency for Healthcare Administration, who's our regulating agency, as well as the CDC guidelines. We have done a terrific job. The activities department has been hosting 9 to 10 in-person visits a day, on top of Zoom calls, regular calls, FaceTime calls, and it's really been a labor of love. We have not had anyone that hasn't been able to see their loved one if they so desired, and so I'm really proud of the team. One last thing I did just want to mention is we had an unannounced surprised AHCA infection control survey yesterday. They went through everything from our personal protective equipment to our policies, to a tour, to our break rooms. They wanted to know everything, and it went perfect without any suggestions or any ideas of how we could improve. So I'm really, really proud of the team for that, and I wanted to share. So thank you.
Next up is a show, Campus Life.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. How many of you attended our wonderful wine dinner just last Friday? Perfect. Glad to hear that. There's many more of those events coming up. That won't be the last wine dinner you'll see. Boris and I have been working together throughout this past year, and we'll continue to work together this year to provide you with wonderful events. I think pairing up with dining services is such a wonderful idea because we're able to provide you great quality events that you deserve, especially after last year. So we will be having another wine dinner. We're working on details. So once we have those details done, we will let you know. So don't hesitate to RSVP once you hear about it. We have some great events coming up. We have a ladies' tea party and fashion show. And I do want to thank Miss Levy, she's sitting in the back, because she organized this event all by herself. We were just pretty much giving all the information and I promoted it. So thank you very much. And again, this is an example of how we always want to hear your input. I want to know what you want to see, what you want to attend, because then we can come up with this wonderful events just like Miss Levy did. So if you have not signed up, again, it's on Tuesday, April 13, 1 to 3 p.m., fashion show and ladies' tea party. And don't worry, gentlemen, I haven't forgotten about you. I will be doing something special for all the gentlemen too. A few years ago, we did have Keith Rager. He is a musical mind reader. He was actually just at the original campus on Friday. If you attended, I'm sure you can testify that he is amazing. I went to see him over at the original campus on Friday, and I was blown away. I was trying to figure out how he did things, and I could not. So I invite you to attend. We're still working on the time, so we'll probably put the time on the weekly newsletter this week. But you can start RSVPing. It should be in the afternoon. So again, you'll see more information on the weekly newsletter about this wonderful event. And we have some wonderful outings as well. We started doing some trips. We visited the Holocaust Museum. We have gone to Pub Stroke up in Fort Myers. And we have these two wonderful outings coming up. One thing I forgot to add on my slides is that we will have another Hotwire educational session on Friday, April 16. I encourage you to attend because there's plenty of information that you could use on those training sessions. Or if you have some questions that are already dealing with, if you don't know how to work the remote, if you don't know how to go back 48 hours with your remote, come to this session, bring questions, and we'll be able to answer those for you. Another thing that I know that I asked Ronnie is if you have a lot of questions and you say, you know what, I feel bad coming to this training session and bringing a booklet full of questions. Can I do a one-on-one training session? Absolutely, you can. I will put more information on the weekly newsletter, but you'll be able to give us a call and we'll be able to schedule a one-on-one training session with you with a Hotwire specialist. I believe that is all I got. And here is Boris. Thank you and nice seeing you.
Good afternoon. Before we get started, thanks, Richard. Before we get started, here goes, assistant. We have 4 bottles of wine that I want to give away. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Thank you, Richard. So please look under your chair. If you see a yellow sticker, please raise your hand. All right, I see 1. That's awesome. Michelle has another one. Richard, Michelle has another one. All right, thank you. Richard, one right here. No, not Brett. Good try, Brett. Nice try. There we go. We need one more. Right here. Right here. This element right here. Right here, right? Right here. Yeah. Right here. That's the 4th one. All right, we got him. That was fun. Well, enjoy your wine. Thank you. Jordan? Now for updates. So guests and families starting April 5th. So we're going to allow guests and families in the restaurants. So please remind your guests and families to bring their COVID-19 vaccination card. We're going to be asking for that card when they're checking in with the hostess. So please remind your guests. Request respond. So this came from our food service committee meeting last week. it came to my attention that our restaurants were asking, can we order, when ordering takeout, can we select from the 105 menu and the Vines menu? And the answer is yes. So starting today, thank you. So starting today, you were allowed to do that. So if you order for takeout tomorrow, please, you can order from the 105 or the Vines menu. Mark your calendar. Easter, this upcoming Sunday, we still have some openings, so please see rest if you want to come in. Cinco de Mayo, it's going to be Wednesday, May 5th, so we're going to be doing a wonderful event. More to come on that one. And Mother's Day will be Sunday, May 9th. That's all I have. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. It was wonderful to get to know many of you at the carnival event. I was the one doing the snow cones and the ice cream. That was popular. So I wanted to just share an update, the sales and marketing update with you all. GO occupancy now is at 95% with 3 apartments under refurbishment. And you heard a little bit from Jessica about Oakstone and Mangrove, and the occupancy is at 92% right now there. And then we also have some exciting news at the end of the month, April 29th, we're hosting an event here. So for new prospects that I'll be meeting with and giving tours to get some new interest in Moorings Park at Gray Oak. And then, of course, you all have questions. Many of you have asked me about the other communities, our sister properties. So I wanted to share that with you. Moorings Park at Grand Lake. Ross already had mentioned the first phase, phase 1, and the community is already 50 to 64% occupancy in the phase 3. So they're moving along. And thank you, Ross. That was nice to see some of that development so that we can see what our sister property is up to. They are also hosting events and hard hat tours. And then the original campus is at 87.5% with 14 units under refurbishment. So there's another slide. There we go. We currently have 2 apartments that are available, one in C and one in D. If you would like more information or if you have friends that would like information, I would be happy to reach out to them, meet with them, give them a tour. And I think you all met Meg on the last Zoom call. So if you can contact myself or Megan Wisely. We're all here for you. So thank you.
That sales event is a great option if you know somebody who's sort of kicking the tires, or you may have a friend that might be lightly interested. The event is very informative, and it sort of introduces folks to who we are, what we do, why we do it, and we always have a good time of question and answer. It's a great introduction to Moorings Park as an organization. So if you know somebody that might be interested, please reach out to Karen, and she'll be happy to set them up. Next up, we have Mark.
Thanks, Gordon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's always great seeing you. I do have an update. I've grown facial hair since we last seen you. No, seriously, it's so wonderful seeing everybody in our ballroom and for the open forum again. I do have 2 updates I would like to share. One is the update on the Grand Place, the north and south entryway from our garage. The stucco and painting has been completed. The only thing we're waiting for now is the tile, and it is going to match the penthouse garage lobby area. So we're anticipating the tile and installation to take place mid-April. I will be sending a memo out with a little bit more information as soon as I get confirmation. And Phase 1 has already received their dry event cleaning in January, so the next scheduled dry event cleaning will be Phase 2, and that'll be April 29th to the 30th. Our first responders will be escorting the techs as they go into your apartments that day. And again, as always, I'll send memos out just to inform the community. All right, and that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, for the facial hair update. Next, we have Brett, another person with facial hair.
Mark's trying to grow his facial hair. Well, hello, everyone. It's great to see all of you, and I just got to echo what everybody says. This feels really good to all be together and in front of all of you again. So it is wonderful. And I do want to say, I just want to thank all of you for the messages, the blessings, the prayers, the warm wishes with the birth of my daughter. It's been a truly amazing experience, and I really appreciate all your support and all of you reaching out during that time. It's crazy that it's already been a month. She's already walking. So, yes, and it's definitely great to be back at work. It's not easy at home, so, but thank you all very much. It definitely means a lot to me and my family, so. A couple things that I do want to talk about today. A couple weeks ago, you all received a memo that talked about wellness assessments. Do you all remember that? Okay, well, I just want to go over it a little bit because I think there might have been some confusion on it. And it's an initiative that we are doing here at Moorings Park, so I definitely want to discuss it. And I think the big thing is maybe some of you are getting a little confused on because we do two assessments, the name, right? Fitness assessment and wellness assessment. It almost seems like they're interchangeable. It's the same thing. I do an assessment with the wellness department. I just did one, so what does this memo even mean? So let's talk first about our fitness assessment. All of you pretty much have probably done a fitness assessment. When you obviously, years ago when you first moved in, or we advertise, here's your yearly annual fitness assessment fair. Sign up, we want to do it again. Or you've had a change in status and you're back in the wellness center after some time. My team has probably said, hey, our first step with you is let's do that fitness assessment. So I want you to think, when we think of the word fitness, just think physical, right? So it's only really one dimension of wellness. And what do we preach? We preach multiple dimensions of wellness. So the fitness assessment is purely fitness, physical, from my team, my department. And what does that do? What is that good for? Well, if you have specific goals too on your, whatever it is with your personal training, what classes would be best for me? That's where we can quickly do the assessment and pinpoint what's best for you. But then we started thinking, well, maybe there's more we can do, right? Like we're not just the physical dimension of wellness, and we need a better integrative care approach. So this is really a higher level, this wellness assessment, and it really is an integrative care approach with all of Moorings Park. So it's not just the wellness department. It's the doctor, so it's the clinical staff, it's the therapist, it's our social workers, it's everybody here with all the wonderful services that you have available to you. We want to make sure we are giving you that opportunity to identify if there's an issue or identify a need that we can help you, because at the end of the day, we want to be able to do what we say we're doing, and that's successful aging, right? You moved here for a reason. We want to keep you engaged. We want to keep you living long, healthy lives as long as possible. And so I think this assessment will help start tracking that. And then we can pinpoint what areas are needed. So there's a depression screening, there's a frailty screening, there is a multiple different dimensions of wellness, how you self-perceive yourself in social environments and things like that. So it's more well-rounded, more mind, body, spirit, and we have the help of the entire clinical team for that integrative care approach. So you might ask, because in the memo too, it said, well, random. Well, what does that mean? And will I be selected? Can I do this? Right now, the way we're rolling this assessment out is if you are involved with our concierge Moorings Park doctors, okay? So it doesn't matter what doctor, right? So if it is Dr. Lentz, Dr. Contreras, Dr. Ernst, any of those doctors, you will be notified when you have your yearly physical with them. So what will happen is I will get notified from the clinic and it'll say, Mr. So-and-so has their annual with us at the clinic. Please reach out to them and have them do their wellness assessment. and then my team will reach out to you to schedule. If you're wondering, well, I would love to do this, but I don't see one of those doctors. That will come. That is our long-term goal, and our plan is to be able to do this with all of our residents. But the way we're rolling it out at the beginning is the residents that are involved with our clinic. So I think it's going to be a wonderful thing. Most of you have done this already. We started this before the pandemic in 2019, and all the residents that go to our clinic, I was notified, we reached out to you, and we pretty much did close to 100% of the residents that we needed to do. And then obviously with the pandemic, we didn't do any last year. So we're starting it back again, and that was part of the reason for the memo, just to kind of re-kickstart it. So I hope that clarifies a little bit more. And if you have not been reached out to yet for it, don't worry. Your time will come when the opportunity arises, okay? And I just want to say, before I get into this event, we've advertised, since January, we have really increased our programming. We have done different things, different classes, and I think they've all been really well received. And we're going to continue that. So probably next month, the next open forum, we'll kind of close out the quarter, the first quarter, and we'll give an update on all the new things that we've done and what's to come for the rest of the year, or at least for quarter number 2. We got some exciting things. So I really just want to first talk about the event that we have tomorrow. And is Bob Newbert and Joy Newbert in the room? Can you raise your hands? We'll give them a round of applause, because they're in our championship match for bocce tomorrow against Hale Hansen and Larry Cohen. Are you both in the room? Okay, yes. So I hope all of you will come out and support. I know for some of you who don't know what this was, we did a building competition and a phase competition. So we got more residents involved to actually use our court, because most of the time we do use Gray Oaks Country Club. But we said, you know what, we still want to use our beautiful court as much as we can. And I think that was a big success. We had a lot of residents, even if they weren't playing, they were there watching, socializing. And so I hope all of you come tomorrow at 1 o'clock to watch the big championship match. And a lot of times people say, well, what's the prize? And I say, pride. Well, that's the same thing this time, but actually that picture, that trophy, it's on its way, okay? I really wanted it here today to show it off. Now I'm hoping it shows up tomorrow, but it's on its way. We're having it engraved, so the winners will have a nice big trophy too to celebrate. So it's just one little thing as we try to all get back together for some larger events. And I think so far we're off to a great start this year, and we got a lot of wonderful things still planned. So thank you very much, and I look forward to working with you. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Brett. I wanted to start with just really thanking you, the residents, for a great event. As you know, we hosted a fundraiser and a carnival just a couple weeks ago. We found out that a lot of our residents have really good arms and good aim. I've never been dunked so many times in my life. I started to get a little bit of a complex when one of the housekeepers got me 6 times in a row. But myself, Brett, and Boris were thoroughly soaked. I think overall everybody had a really good time, and I'm really pleased to say that in about 2 hours we raised over $6,800 for a very worthy cause, the Alzheimer's Association. So thank you to the residents for all those very generous contributions. It was a lot of fun, and we hope to do it again sometime. Oh, I had hoped to show the video of us getting dunked, but for some reason it just came out on the side there, but now you're going to get to see it. This is Richard. There we go. Yeah, Richard actually got me about 4 or 5 times. So I want to provide you with a few project updates. There's always a little bit of something going on around here. Let's see, as Mark mentioned, the north and south garage entrances are currently underway. So it'll take a little while for that tile to come, but it'll be here soon, and we'll have a nice entrance at each of the methods of entering Grand Place. We have worked our way through buildings A through L to change the electric or actually add electric strikes to each of our doors. It's a safety request from the fire department, so you may not have even noticed that it's been there, but it's just something for you to know. We're always keeping up on the fire code. We are routinely inspected by the fire department to make sure that the buildings are safe and meet code. And this was a project that was conducted in order to do that. If you look out here, you can see some new metal fabricated awnings, and they are going to be installed shortly. Just so happens that the awnings that they fabricated don't quite fit. I mean, we had an architect, the architect signed off on it, it went off to the factory, they fabricated the aluminum, then they powder coated it, delivered it here, put it up on the wall, and they said, oops. So that project is a bit delayed, but we're still working on it. And what it's for is we have these louvered openings here. If you were to walk out here, you'd see the louvered openings. And if we have a hard driving rain, water gets in. These coverings will keep that from happening. So I'm assuming they're going to put a rush on this one and get them out here soon. Jessica mentioned the mangrove dining room wallpaper being replaced. You may be wondering, why would you replace the wallpaper? Well, a number of the seams were failing, and the type of wallpaper that we installed originally was kind of fuzzy. And so if you made any type of a repair and then glue got onto that surface, it never looked right. It never looked good again. And so at a certain point, we said, you know what, this wallpaper just needs to come down. And we said, we're not going to put wallpaper up again because this is an area that needs to be cleaned often. And so we just went with paint. So that project is complete, and it really looks nice. And then you heard all about that rubber walkway path. Again, we hope to begin that in the summer. It'll be a big project. I commit to you that we will communicate. We will work with the Buildings and Grounds Committee. We will share the master plan with you, the landscaping plan as well. There will be no surprises here with this project. Okay, fact or fiction? Let's go through the rumor mill here. Rumor number one. This is the word on the streets, as they say. I heard the tile removal project at Grand Place is due to mold. Everybody know about the tile removal that we did up here? We picked one lanai, and we took out the tile to see what was underneath. And the rumor was that that was being done because we thought there was mold underneath. What do you think? Fact or fiction? Wonderful. Yes, it is fiction. The reason why we removed the tile in one little narrow lanai is we wanted to basically do a forensic audit on the tile and the ways in which water travels through the tile and then out onto the black metal panels. You all are familiar with the metal panels on the outside of Grand Place. On many of them, we have white calcification, sort of like a residue, stuck to those metal panels. And we believe that's from water going under the tile, sitting there a little bit too long, picking up the elements that are inside the cement, and then depositing them onto the metal panels. So we actually had experts in here that piece by piece took away the tile, took away the cement subbase, the drainage pan, and everything to see how this is all happening. That's what that's for. I'm happy to say there's no mold. Okay, let's see. Request response. We always like to show where residents request something and how we responded. Please address the noisy leaf blowers used by the estuary staff. Have you heard early in the morning there's a leaf blower just going nuts on that parking lot? So the Buildings and Grounds Committee, they brought this to my attention, and a number of other folks as well. So I reached out to Don Emery, the GM over at Gray Oaks Country Club, and I shared the complaint, basically. And I have to give a lot of credit to Don. He very quickly responded, along with the gentleman who's in charge of the grounds crew, with a picture of what they've purchased. They have purchased a battery-powered system, which should lower the decibels on those blowers and what you hear in the mornings. Now, will it be perfect and quiet all the time? No, I don't think so. It's still a piece of heavy equipment that they have to use, but I believe that it will improve things. If you feel like it hasn't, please let me know after this meeting and I'll be happy to look into it a little bit further. But I really, I know he's not here, but I really want to thank Don for that quick response. That's something that we really appreciate with our partnership with Gray Oaks Country Club. Okay, here's another one. Please coordinate a document shredding day for the community. This came up at Java with Jordan. I think Mr. Schwartz brought it up, if I recall correctly. And so after Java with Jordan, I asked Teresa to look into what we can do, and I'm happy to say we have a document shredding day scheduled. And that's going to be Tuesday, April 20th from 9 o'clock until 11 o'clock. So just bring all those documents that you hope to have shredded, and we'll have a big truck there, and they'll shred it right there on site. Okay, April 20th. And we'll ask Michelle to get that in the weekly, and if we have to do a memo, Teresa will get a memo out to remind you. So we'll probably turn that into an annual thing. There is a major expense associated with it. I couldn't believe how much it cost, to be honest with you. But we feel like, this was something that the whole room was unanimous on, that it was a need, and so we're going to continue to do that. Another request here. Let's see. Please don't set the tables in the restaurants on Mondays and Tuesdays. That way we can play our card games and we don't have to move all the glasses and the silverware and we don't have to do all of that. And so I'm happy to say, after speaking with Boris and the food and beverage team, that we will not set up the dining rooms until Wednesday afternoon. And then we'll look at the other days as well, because I know that there's some other days where folks are playing games and things like that. So we'll figure out if we need to other days. And that is it for our presentation today. I know it was a long one. I really want to thank you for going the distance with us. And now is the time for question and answer. And Teresa and I think Leslie are here with microphones if you'd like to ask a question. I can always reiterate it if you can't hear it. Any questions? Okay, we have a question over here. And I think I'll ask.
I'm interested in having the Sunday NFL tickets connected to my TV. Who in Hotwire?
Hotwire does not provide this NFL Sunday ticket. That's a proprietary program that is owned by DirecTV. And so there is nobody at Hotwire that could really help with that. It has to be something that you do through DirecTV. We've talked about, I believe there is a possibility that you can stream it. I'll be honest with you, we haven't talked about this in many, many months. And so I'd have to look into that a little bit further. It's probably time to look into that in anticipation of football season, about 6 months away. But you can never be too prepared. Any other questions?
Appreciate what's being done on the main walkway. We also have issues with some of the side walkways. I understand that would not make sense. How are you going to handle those problems?
Those will do the standard repair where we'll cut out. That walkway was always created with intent of when we had little issues, we would be able to cut away and do whatever needs to be done to repair what's happening underneath and then put it right back to how it was. So like Ross mentioned, we're going to replace the main spine, the main thoroughfare, and then the areas on the outside that need some repairs, we'll touch those up. We're going to look at the irrigation, we're going to look at the landscaping as well in all of those areas and make sure that everything looks very nice. There's one other thing I almost forgot. Amanda, would you mind joining me up here? So at the last meeting, we introduced Amanda Addison to you, but it was virtual. You didn't really see her. You didn't, it was much more difficult. I want to introduce Amanda to you and just give her a few moments to just say a few words.
Hi, everyone. I know it's been a long meeting, so that's why I didn't wave you down. But I'm Amanda Addison. I'm the licensed clinical social worker here, and this is my first in-person open forum. I'm hoping to be a regular at these meetings, so we thought it'd be a good opportunity for me to show my face and say hello. I work closely with independent living residents on all 3 of our campuses and help support and guide you and connect you to our various resources here, also in the community, whether it's our community health or wellness team, if you're looking to get involved. I also work actually really closely with all of the partners that presented here with you today. So my office is located in the Center for Healthy Living here on the campus. I am here every Wednesday, but I am more than happy to come and meet you at any time, any day of the week. Usually I'm here on campus more often than Wednesdays, and I'm looking forward to meeting all of you. I know a lot of people think, well, there's nothing wrong, but I still would love to meet you and build a connection and maybe provide some education on what maybe you could utilize in the future here at Moorings Park. And one of the things that I am involved with is our caregiver support group, and that is we combined Grand Lake and Gray Oaks caregivers. It's the first Friday of every month, but with it being Good Friday, this Friday we've moved it to April 16th. So that's from 11 to 12 in this ballroom. So if you'd like to join that group, we ask that you RSVP to Bree Martinez here. And I do have a couple slides that are going to be added to the presentation on the website. So more of that information along with my contact information will be listed there. A lot of your faces are familiar to me, so that's really exciting. And so I'm just happy to be here and looking forward to meet everyone.
Welcome. We have a question over here. I'll ask it.
Losing a lot of people to Grand Lake. Is it true? Is Dr. Ernst going to stay here, or is she going to go to Grand Lake?
Well, I would, first of all, I would say we're not losing a lot of people. We've lost Jessica. Now Jessica is a very important cog in the wheel here. So, which, by the way, we're so proud of Jessica and really happy for her. I mean, she has done so much. I mean, when that opportunity came up, how could we not say yes, you know? So congratulations to you, Jessica. But, you know, Brett was also promoted, but he's still here. Dr. Ernst, I don't want to speak incorrectly about Dr. Ernst, but I believe, if memory serves me correctly, the plan was always for Dr. Ernst to be based at Grand Lakes, excuse me. Yes. Yeah, that was always the plan for her to have offices there. But she would also see residents here as well. Yeah, so I think that's the plan going forward as well. So, well, she's on maternity leave right now. She's on maternity leave night. So we're talking about two very different things here. The question was about losing people to Grand Lake. Okay, now she is out on maternity leave, and I believe Dr. Lintz has stepped in and taken some of her caseload, and I know that they're working together for that type of a situation. Certainly, there's not much we can do about maternity leave. But if you have a concern specifically about being a patient of Dr. Ernst, I may be able to help. I think it's probably more of a sidewalk issue that we can handle on a one-on-one basis. But yeah, that's my understanding. Now, I can clarify just to be sure. It sounds like I may need to. Happy to do that. Okay. Now, as it pertains to staff, I think we talked about this last month. There's going to be opportunities in this organization for growth. And that's something that we as an organization foster. You know, we really want people to come in as new employees and learn and grow. And we will always encourage that, whether it's growth to Grand Lake or growth to the original campus. We've also been the recipients here many times over of growth from the original campus. And so this is something that we have to be really familiar and comfortable with. It's just the way that a healthy organization works. And one thing I'll say as well is that, you know, every time we lose, for lack of a better term, we lose somebody to one of the other communities, just know all of our efforts are going to be placed in finding a suitable replacement that will be just as talented, that will bring a new set of talents a new viewpoint on things, and really continue to drive this community forward. So while we're very sad to see Jessica go, we also know that we're very excited to bring somebody in and have a new outlook on, say, for instance, Oakstone and Mangrove. So it's a great opportunity for both scenarios. So, but again, if you have a concern about Dr. Ernst and her time away, and if something isn't being done appropriately, or you'd like a little bit more attention, I certainly understand. I'd ask that you let me know, and then I can work with the NCH team. I'll work with Reggie. I'll work with Diana Bailey, and we'll see what we need to do to improve things. It's very important for me to have my finger on the pulse and know what's going on. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Well, I think, again, if what I've just said to you is correct, then what they're going to need to do, NCH is going to need to do, is they're going to need to share the pattern. They're going to need to share the office hours and what the plan is. I think we're a little ways away from that. And so what this conversation, these two questions tell me is that maybe the residents are looking for a little bit more information, and we certainly can provide that. Yeah. I hope I didn't just drop a nuclear bomb here in saying what I said. That was not my intent. So, but I do appreciate you bringing that up. It tells me it's on your mind. So we need to know more, right? Okay. What was that? What's that?
You are hitting us with something new. That will change the way that we handle, getting help.
I don't foresee much of a change, to be honest with you, from what I understand. The doctor has office hours here, right? I don't think that will change. The only difference is maybe her home base will be there. So I don't want you to worry too much. We still have doctor's offices here, just like Dr. Lintz is not here every day, right? None of the doctors have ever been here every day. They have office hours here. That won't change. Okay, so that's my understanding. So I'll get more information out to you. Okay, any other questions? No? Hearing none? Have a great evening, everyone. Thanks for coming. After this meeting, actually.